All right. Welcome everyone to the first podcast in a while. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent Maple memo that came out yesterday. Here are the guests for today. We got CodeNox above me. We got Scardor to the top left, and Matt doesn't feel like being on cam today, so we'll just be chilling in Cole. For those of you that don't know what the Maple memo is about, let me bring it up. Alright. So basically they were addressing the recent bans. Later in the memo they said community topic on recent Kanna bans. So they talked about suicide Kanna. Zoom in a little bit. Even though it's not related to the use of an illicit program, this can be considered as an activity that exploits the game feature, as the maps are designed to be used by players at a certain level. Repeatedly dying on a character with the purpose to stay on the map and taking severe advantage of it is an unintended behavior, which is why we decided to maintain the suspension of the affected accounts. So by affected accounts, they mean the people that were falsely banned. So that's the big controversy right now. So that's what we're going to be discussing. Right? Yeah. So first thoughts. Do you wanna begin, Scardor?
Sure. All right. How do we tackle this? Basically, there's like there's a few different aspects to this, right? I think I'll go through the points that I think we probably mostly agree on, and then we can go to the points that we maybe disagree on.
Okay.
I think we all kind of agree that since they never stated before that this is okay. Well, let's go to the first thing. The fact that they call this like exploiting is, I think, very heavy language, because I think in general within the community we use the term exploit when people like edit packets and shit and do actual hacking stuff. So
Not
the
always.
word exploit is pretty heavy there, I think.
Not necessarily, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty heavy to me, at
Right.
least. And to call it like an unintended game behavior, I mean, it can be unintended, but it's just smart use of game mechanics. I can agree that I think it's unintended, but I feel like there could be like at least 2 or 3 other ways that they could have fixed the problem without doing this. This seems kind of like kind of a little bit of a cop out where they couldn't fix it enough to like see the difference between hackers and legit people. So they just said, just stop doing it, or we might ban you, basically. So that feels like a little bit of the cheap way out. We talked about it in the stream, on my stream before, and basically a lot of people said, well, what if they just made it so that you don't lose experience when you die at all anymore? Like, they could have done that as well, and then the logical consequence would be the same, like suicide farming would be gone, but it would be gone in a completely different way. And then connected to that, I don't think, since they only came out now with that, I think it's really weird that they keep the bans for the people who did this before they actually said that it was unintended. I don't think that's right.
Yep, I agree. Nox, do you have anything to add?
Distracted by your chat, but
It's a little spammy.
So when we first looked at the memo on my stream yesterday, like we kind of came up with 4 different lines of reasoning, most of which does not favor Nexon. So the first thing would be, if you look at the language, it's saying that repeatedly dying on a character with the purpose to stay in the map and take severe advantage of it is unintended behavior. And so that's the first part of it. I think is kind of ridiculous, because who's to say that you can't stay at a single level? Like,
I think
really
it just
unintended
speaks to
behavior?
like
they can. They're it's their game.
Yeah, they can.
They can change the rules whenever they feel like.
Right, and like they can change the rules whenever they feel like it, but I feel like that's not really.
Well, it's not
logical, you know?
justified,
Like,
because
yeah, like,
again,
it's not
like
justified, but I feel like they have the
what
power to do
Scardor
so.
said is it feels like a cop out.
Yeah, and the other thing I think is more important is that when Ace was talking about it a long time ago, he never actually clarified that we are not, or that we are allowed to suicide, but I would say that he was probably aware that this was going on for like a year
Yeah.
before he left. So either this is like a new decision by the new producer, or they just wanted to find an excuse.
Well, I think it has to do with the auto ban system that they have, which caught some people, right? And it's probably too difficult to make the auto ban system so that they can distinguish very clearly between the two. It's kind of like when they're saying you can't do any third-party programs whatsoever, they're all against the terms of service. There's probably a bunch of programs that are all fine, but since the detection is probably inadequate and it might flag a bunch of programs, they just say they're all against the rules just to cover their own ass, right?
Yeah, and
I
this is
think-
actually a really weird thing for them to do because
I think the autoban system is just if you die a certain amount of times in a certain time period, then you get flagged, regardless of whether you're using a third-party program or not. Which
I'm
very
just,
flawed.
I'm just saying it like as a parallel, not that it has anything to do with this situation, but I think it's like a similar line of thinking. I think.
Sorry, go ahead, Nox.
Oh yeah, so I was just gonna say like that might be part of the autoban system, but it wouldn't really make any sense because number one, what they're saying is basically extended to Arcana as well. So if you're 247 and you want to suicide, like legally speaking, you can't do that, quote unquote.
Yep.
Like, legally. But in KMS reboot, they do that, and they've been doing that for since Arcana came out, pretty much. So what kind of logic is there? Right?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense because GMS has a rampant hacker problem that they need to apply the rule to everyone who loses XP to stay in level range. Doesn't really make much sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it just feels like a cop-out. What Scardor is saying. The way I look at it is that like they're constantly updating their autoban, function. It's not going to be perfect, but because they can't address the situation properly, they're going to punish legit players in the process.
That's been like everything so far. Like
yeah, like
that always happens.
That's the way they've been doing things for like the past several years, and I want them to like do it a little differently.
Yeah.
Find some other kind of solution.
I don't think suiciding is gonna be like, first of all, even the best flag.
I don't think people will stop.
So
yeah, no. What I said in my stream, first thing that's gonna happen is people are just gonna keep doing it until they get banned. And if it takes a long time, they'll probably just keep making new characters if it's worth it. And if it's not worth it, they'll stop.
yeah, I've had a lot of people come up to me. They're like, "I'll just go to Arcana and then just troll." Like, "Oh yeah, I AFK'd in the map. Oh, I was
Yeah, no, I mean AFK monsters, elite bosses, they kill you sometimes, dude. You gotta, oh shit, my pet food ran out. Oh no.
I accidentally took off my arcane force.
Yeah, like oh no potions. Oh no. Yeah, I mean yeah.
See, like I think the disconnect here is like we can say that it was because of the autoban system, but what they've said officially is just that you shouldn't suicide. That's abusing the game mechanics. So
yeah.
What other choice is there, right? If they had been more clear, maybe said like, okay, like it was because of autoban, like you shouldn't go to bye-bye. That's a commonplace for hackers. Like if you don't get flagged, then we can at least be like, okay, then they're telling us to go to Arcana, right? But right now, as it is, they're flat out just ignoring everything. So what else do we do? I mean,
well, we'll wait for another response. That's basically it.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, I want to also give a little bit of positivity. Like if you looked at the last two lists of bans, I mean, they're heavily inflated because they mention all of the characters on an account. But there's like more than like hundreds of thousands of bans, right, in the last month alone.
198.
They have been cleaning up like hardcore as well. And if you compare that with how many accounts there have been of people getting falsely banned, that's a very, very small portion. And of those, I think most people have gotten unbanned very fast as well. That seems to have been getting at least a little bit better. Now, it's definitely not where it should be or perfect, but
I don't think that's really even a good solution. Like,
no, it's not a solution. I'm just saying, like,
right.
It's been way worse in the past, where like hundreds of people were getting like banned and waiting weeks and weeks for responses and everything. Like that's been getting at least way better.
It's like is he saying it's like a silver lining?
Yeah.
No, like my thought process is like they're kind of just going a completely different direction than they should be, right? Because if you if you look at how KMS handled their,
Are they though? Because they've been doing this for years. I don't think
Yeah,
it's
and
any
is it
different
working?
direction. It's the
Right?
same direction.
right, it's I mean it's a
the
different
wrong
direction they
direction,
should be
basically.
going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you look at KMS, they have laws in place that say if you want to create an account, you have to have it tied to some kind of government ID, right? Even if you're a
Yeah,
foreigner. Like,
because
I
that's
have to
just
use my driver's
Korea, but this
license.
is GMS though. Like you
Right, and
can't
I'm
you
saying
have to
like
you can't globally enact this
it's possible.
across all
Yeah,
all
it's
countries
possible.
that play this game.
No,
That's
if
way
you're
too much work.
if you look at the Naver system, like they have this down to a science. Anyone from any country can apply for any kind of national ID and be verified. And if you get banned, you get banned. Like you can't make a second account.
Yeah, it's probably
Like I don't think it's an excuse to say like, oh, we can't check ID. Like it's not it's not that difficult, frankly.
Nizam, do you have like mods or
Now, I have a question for the three of you. Assuming that Nexon upholds this stance, so no more suicide farming, what do you think the new way to make mesos would be?
I mean, just stay at Arcana, just suffer rates.
So just never die. Just keep leveling until you're out of level range. What are you saying?
Basically.
it'll take forever? I think it's gonna be Terrorburn Kanna soon. They just slowly level, accidentally die a bunch of times. And AFK mobs, they're sneaky little buggers. They just creep up on you. You never see them coming, And I think if you keep leveling, you can even still get decent rates at spiders, right? At MTS. MTS? Is that what it's called?
I think
Like
so.
2, 3, and 4, you can still get decent rates all the way up to level 264 without meso penalty there. That's gonna be like more than enough for like almost all players, right?
How much?
There's gonna be a small group of people that are just gonna keep remaking new characters. All the way.
What if people take advantage of AFK mobs to the point where Nexon's gonna be forced to remove AFK mobs
Ooh,
because it's
60
going against their own rules.
Oh,
yeah.
well, there's gonna be a lot of whoopsie daisies soon.
Yeah. I think the best move that they can make right now is just clarify that if you suicide Arcana, like that's okay. KMS reboot right now without Kitchen, Blaze Wizards can make 370 mil an hour in Arcana. So
Hmm.
So you're talking
it's
about
not
like
wonderful,
end game meso farming. What about early game players that aren't up to that point yet?
right, and that kind of what they do is they just do like Legion mules and optimize boss crystals. It's not great.
And they do Ursus, but their Ursus is like really low, right?
Theirs is the same as ours.
This is you get like 100 mil a day.
Well,
For us, yeah,
if you're at a low
KMS
level, it's less.
KMS Ursus
Yeah,
is pretty low, right?
You're gonna
From
make
what I
like
heard.
22 mil per run if you're low level, something like that.
93 mil a day, the chat says.
Yeah, but that's
Something
in
like
that's
that.
in GMS. And KMS Ursus is even double Ursus is like half
think it's the
or
same.
something what we make, I think.
No, for Ursus and Reboot, that's this game. Normal
Oh,
services scaled down, so
Oh, it's the reboot versus non-reboot rates are different then, yeah.
yeah.
So apparently, early game rebooters in KMS they suffered through daily bossing and 2x Ursus until they can fund a Lumi farm on, and then they suicide on it to keep it at Arcana. From Tamiyako in chat. Thank you, Tamiya. So
Yeah, Lumi, Blaze Wizards. And
like, it's not a GMS specific strat. KMS players also
definitely
saw
not.
that. Yeah.
Nope. It's just smart use of game mechanics, dude. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but now it's exploiting. That's why I think that word is like super strong there. They
Well,
can
in
just
this
say,
situation, yes, it's a strong use of that word.
yeah.
the moment they made Tenebra's not drop anything valuable, like this was bound to happen. Come on.
That's
So,
true.
I mean, yeah.
I think if Tenebris dropped droplets, then we wouldn't have this issue. People would just be farming at Tenebris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the word value is very important there, though. A lot of people see like meso farming in buy station as like a from a lot of people it's like a permanent solution to just fund themselves. And I'm not like I wasn't really ever against meso farming and buy station, but I was kind of against how good it was compared to everything else that made it viable to become a permanent solution.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So like if later in the game, like let's say in reboot you allow people to NPC nodes and droplets or something for a large amount of money, people will much more clearly see how much value there is in being in that area, because node stones are super valuable, but there's a lot of people who just pump billions into legendary gear and then they have really strong gear, but then their nodes are like garbage.
Yeah.
And they're not really like balancing out their progress at all. And I feel like Nexon could take a little bit of a, if they take different decisions, I feel like they will guide people towards the progress more than right now. They're just guiding them away from what is doing now, but not really towards something specific, I feel.
Do you guys think that the next KMS patch might have an area that might bridge the gap a little bit?
I want to be optimistic, but winter updates don't seem really good in Korea, so
The patch is 850 megabytes, so there's something there. We just don't know what it is. Like
isn't
really,
it
really
Ghost
big
Park?
patch. That's not 850. That's not that big. I mean, that's like, I don't know. I don't know how big it is, but it's not 850. 850 is like at least 10% of the game, something like that. So
Oh.
No, we're like, what, 16 gigs? Or...
Scardor, I saw
I
a
think
clip
we're
of you
15
comparing suiciding on Kanna to tax evasion. Do you want to elaborate on that? Do you remember saying that?
Oh shit, were you talking to me?
Yeah, the tax evasion thing.
Oh shit. Well, the thing I've been always talking about, I don't like, I play the game very casually. I don't min max, right?
Okay.
With my time. I don't really advise other people to do it either. So the way I kind of see it is if you're doing the whole mesoforming thing and you're making like these crazy rates, you know that you're like a nail kind of sticking out, even though what you're doing is technically not wrong and it's like completely okay by the rules. You do know that you're as close to like botter rates are as you can possibly be. So if anything, and anything we can know from the past of Nexon is that if anything goes, that's the first thing to go. Like the first thing on a chopping block. So I said if you're looking at real life, it's kind of the same. Like let's say that somebody is technically doing all their taxes legally and everything is technically correct, but they're like evading taxes by putting it somewhere else and all of that bullshit. You know that what you're doing is technically correct, but it's also like the closest thing to being incorrect. And if anything has to go, that's the first thing that's going to go. And for people to act like super surprised that like something was going to happen with suicide meso farming, that's really weird to me, because you know that that's not going to like stay around forever. The way that I did it, again, like I completely disagree with how they did it and all of that, but to be like super surprised that something happened to it, that seems really weird to me. Because like yeah, people are suiciding at level 149 and they're like making better rates than I'm doing at Labyrinth on my arc training there. You know, it's yeah.
Yeah, if we're going with
I think they just need to scale down the meso from that particular area.
Well, yeah, I have a whole bunch of things that I think that would be good for the game, and I have like a giant list with approach on different things. And I would have liked to see some things happen with slowing down the progress a little bit early on and ramping it up more rapidly towards the end game, so that people have more of a time to get used to their character, get used to the game, get used to the mechanics more early on, and not be super pushed early on to become late game end game players, but then kind of be left to their own
Well, wouldn't that
devices.
happen if you like nerf early game rates and then you pump up end game? Wouldn't that incentivize you and push you to get to end game faster?
A little, but this now is, I feel like, too hard of a hit too fast.
Well, right now there is really no incentive, because like if you're making a like the only incentive you have is really droplets, which are going to take you hundreds of hours anyways.
Well, I've already been like, since the last month or so, been trying to kind of like talk people out of droplets, especially in reboot. It's not for most people. I would advise for most people to aim for somewhere between 20 and 22 star Abzo over trying to go droplet like arcane gear at all right now.
Oh
don't
yeah,
think it's
I
viable
agree.
for most
I
people.
think Absol is the way to go instead of like
Yeah.
agonizing over arcane gear.
Like you see those 3 people who get all their stuff to 22, and then you don't see those 100 people who just blow up all their stuff before they get to 19 and waste billions and billions and hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours of farming, and it don't. But if they had spent their time getting like 22-star Absolab with like crazy flames, they would have been stronger now. And it's
Well, as far as early game goes, I think like before we were definitely better than KMS. Right? 'Cause we
Wait, so
had
you were talking
hard,
about
easier
sorry,
rates. Yeah.
incentivizing endgame, but the rates at endgame are already better than early game rates for like buy
Yep.
station. So
But
it's
if
like
it's
there
a
already
one-time
is
get
that
point-
progression curve. Like there is already incentive to get to those endgame maps. So
But yeah, but on a Kanna, right? Are there other
yeah,
classes that are like close?
there are classes that can make better than buy station rates at Arcana, but Kanna's just a
Yeah,
lot
but I
better.
mean, better than Kanna's there or no? Like, is Mechanic still doing decently?
They can make better
Yeah.
than buy station rates at Arcana,
What's
Yeah.
buy station rates?
like 550.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is like more than what I make training in Labyrinth on my arc.
I mean, Labyrinth is just.
Yeah, I
How do
made
you
I made
get
like
there?
350 on my arc in Kana.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Damn. Olden days, I made like 700 an hour in LP1 with old Kishin.
Yeah, if we're going back to the IRL analogy, so the problem with this situation, as Scardor said earlier, so Nexon's basically implemented a new law, if you will, and they've banned all these people, and they're saying, oh, because you broke the law before we implemented it, you're gonna have to stay banned. Sorry, you're gonna have to stay in jail, serve your sentence. So
I mean, I think,
think
we
that's
all
the-
agree that's ridiculous.
yeah, I think that's the main issue right now.
I think we all agree with that's not like not okay.
He definitely should be unbanned, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was public knowledge for a year and a half, and they just decided to make it illegal now. That's come on.
I mean, I understand, like, it's like, oh, because they want to, show their stance on the subject. I'm like, but this has been going on for how many years now, and you just took the time to address this?
They have other 2 options here. One, they can say they don't know about it, in which case, how much of a rock are you living under? Or 2, they know
Right, that would clearly show the
Right.
disconnect between them and the community.
Yeah.
So
Wait, what was the second thing you said?
the second thing would be like, what if they did know about it? And that's the same. Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, of course they know about it. They don't live under a rock.
Yeah, I guess so. But both sides, like both options, are terrible for them.
Right. Which is
Yeah,
why
I'm-
we just need more clarification on this recent memo. But again, it was released on a Friday. Nexon's not the only company to do this, to like drop a bombshell at the end of the week. They're gonna come back into the office Monday. Review all the criticism
Let us
and
stew in our filth for a weekend.
backlash, and then hopefully address it again next Friday. Or sometime during the week. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Mm.
That'll be the proper
see.
thing to do after, because this is a pretty, big change, to the game, especially in reboot. And, like it or not, the majority of people, who play the game are in reboot.
Should we make like a unified statement as like Bean Brigade or something?
My help, I suppose. We need, we,
'Cause I
we
feel
need
like we
other.
have, we have direct contact and we have.
I mean, we can try, but it's not. I don't think it's gonna do anything.
Well, we need other Bean Brigaders to sign off on it.
Yeah, if you just have like 4 or 5 people to like gather the main points that everyone agrees on, and then just make like a forum post, and if people
I
like
admire your
upvoted it-
optimism. I don't think it's gonna do anything. Let's be
I don't
honest.
know. It'll depend. Well, it'll depend on how hard it is to do anything else, and how hard it is to take action. They're very clearly limited in resources, right? I'm sure they want to do a lot more than they are doing. At least I want to at least believe that.
All I can say right now is that, like, at this point, with the start force cost difference, KMS reboot still doing better early game. It's just that simple.
Early, yeah.
Yeah, because boss crystals prices are the same. All right, Star Force prices we have it higher. Cube
Why
prices
are
the same.
boss crystals values 3 times that of non-reboot when the Meso is 6 times now for us?
5?
6 times. We have 6
It's
times
6.
non-reboot rates.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 5. I got reverted last time.
It changed. It went from 5, then we got plus 15% to 5.75, and now we are at 6.
Are you talking about the 15% after the boss crystal thing?
No,
The
after
value of
they
the boss
added
crystal-
the level reduction to Malaysia and Singapore, they buffed the rate by 15%. So we went from 5 times to 5.75, and then they buffed it up to 6 times, but then they sneakily got rid of the 15% increase from before.
Yeah.
So we went
So we
from 5.7. Yeah, Scott was correct.
which was like barely an increase, but an increase nonetheless.
Yeah.
But the boss crystals went up, but they all went up, right? They went up in non-reboot as well. But pretty sure the rates for reboot is 3 times the value of non-reboot for the boss crystals, if I'm not
I mean,
mistaken.
it's not even a reboot versus non-reboot comparison. It's just KMS reboot versus us. Like, if their Star
Wait,
Force prices are like I think 1.6 times us, like even if boss prices, even if we have like 20% increase on the base missile drop, it's not gonna fix the gap. You can say vacation, right? That can kind of help.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes back to the other problem of 2 PC meta, Fury Totem, and all that. Which,
But what
doesn't make any
what I
sense.
kind of wonder is if they would like double the value of boss and crystals, would it just be like more viable to do like a bunch of lame bosses on a bunch of mules? I mean, that's how I've been doing it the whole time. It's just through boss crystals, and when I train, I have meso gear on. Like, I don't have a separate farmer. I never have, and I never will. But that's just because I don't enjoy. That's not something I want to do. But if it would become a more viable, I'm all about like giving people options so that the meta isn't so stale like right now. I don't really mind that anything is meta, but I mind that any one thing is meta, right? I want there to be options for players so that people can play the game in kind of different ways, but and find things that they enjoy and make similar progress, so they don't have to like feel bad. Because even if other people don't consciously like bully other people for being slower, people are still gonna feel bad for like progressing more slowly. So if you can kind of
I mean, the
equalize
meta is the
paths of
meta. The meta
progression.
means what's the best, and there's usually only one thing that's the best.
Yeah,
Especially
but
since
it depends on what the gap is, right, between the next best thing.
yeah, I agree with that.
Like, let's
I
say
think
that piece of time farming was still a thing, and you could make like 50 mil less an hour there, unless you
Mhm.
had like a lot of drop rate. Then
The meta would be what's easier, right?
Yeah, but what if you're cubing for Mesoptane gear and you actually get a bunch of drop rate, and that makes actually your rates better if you go piece of time farming? Just like giving an example, then maybe it was easier for you, but therefore it's easier now because you don't have to compete for the same maps, and you can make more money, right?
Yeah.
We're just spitballing, of course, but it would be cool if there were a bunch of things that were like kind of similar. Of course, one thing is always going to be like easier and better. Yeah, that's probably never going to like go away. But what if things are so close? And that's, I think, inherently the problem is because we get hand-me-down updates from KMS reboot into GMS non-reboot. It's like impossible to have anything, even if it's perfectly balanced up there. Once it trickles down to us, it's like impossible to stay balanced for us because of how different our game is, and because we're in it. And reboot in general doesn't get the same love and treatment as non-reboot does. I think that's where-
speaking on like the meta, I think the meta mainly shifted after the Kanna revamp, and then after Kishin got nerfed, and then Kanna's got really crazy mobbing in the same patch.
Yeah, buffed.
So now Kanna's just all the way up here, and then everything else. Like before the Kish nerf, there were at least a few alternatives. Like I think Mechanic was highest, and there was like Kanna was
Evan.
up there, Lumi was up there, Evan, yeah, all
Evan was
Blaze
on the-
Wizard was up there. There was at least a few options, you know. Now it's just like Kanna, and then everything else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the current issues.
I mean, at least they're not getting like a super OP fifth job skill next patch, right? That will diversify the meta for sure.
You're gonna see a Kanna in every fucking party.
One? You mean like 3 or something? Full domain uptime.
Oh, true.
And then share the Sengoku buff to have like 80%
For those that
coverage on that.
don't know what we're talking about, there's a new Sengoku common skill coming out that is what, like 30% final damage, I think, and then it increases.
25 up to 100. Yeah.
It's basically infinity. Kanna's get infinity, I think, for both Sengokus.
Well, Hayato's do it too,
Hayato's
but
as
they're
well.
probably already
Yeah.
capping because they have like 3 lines of damage.
Ridiculous. When I saw it, I was convinced that it was a mistranslation and it was just total damage, but nope, it's final damage. Well,
somebody said maybe the translation is miss in the sense that maybe the skill only adds final damage until the character has a total of 100% final damage.
no,
Like,
I can't say that.
Or maybe it's not a party buff.
I don't think it's a party
Maybe.
buff.
No, it's for
Definitely not
the
party buff.
Sengoku buffs. Like the people who follow within the same group get it, right?
I don't think so.
Like,
I think
like
it's a solo buff only.
Oh,
It's
I
not
thought
like
it shared
it's not like
between the
it's not
people
like
who
the
have the
200
same
hyper.
buff.
Yeah. It's self only,
Oh, self only. Okay.
but it's still broken as hell.
It's still broken.
Yeah,
Still
that's-
broken. Well, JMS originally got like stronger Kanna stuff than we got as well. So there's like still a small chance that it gets nerfed or like lower numbers before it gets to us. But
So
yeah,
instead of like 3, it's 5. Oh no, instead of 5, it's 3. Sorry. Other way
yeah,
around.
something like that. Maybe it starts with
Yeah, so
25 and adds 3 up to 50 or something like that. But yeah, it still seems like it's gonna be pretty good.
it might get nerfed when it comes to us.
Considering how the demons and the kinesis get a skill that gives us 11% with like an AoE and some healing.
Yeah.
It's it's interesting. And Beastamer, so Beastamer is going to be put in the same group as Explorers for the skill, and they seem that they're not going to be like sharing cash up at all or something, anything like that with Anima. That's kind of surprising. I thought they might have tried to connect the two there, because since they're both furries.
What?
What? They're both like animals with like animal hats and tails and shit. I thought they were gonna like group them up because Beastamers are all alone, and cash up and stuff like that. I thought they were gonna group them up with Hoyoung, but seems like they're not gonna do that.
I'm not even going to go down that thread.
Trying to get a little bit more lighthearted because pretty doom and gloom with the.
I mean, it is doom and gloom. What do you?
Do we want to take some questions from the chat? Could do a bit of a Q&A this time.
There's not really much to talk about until they give us some more information. We can just talk about the current situation, how we feel about it, but ultimately it's up to Nexon if they want to give us more info.
Well, at the end they said we hope that this clarifies our stance on the matter, right?
Yeah,
but they
but
didn't like, specifically say the words.
Yeah, their
Yeah.
wording is a little off, just a little.
Yeah.
So should we just ask them if we can suicide in Arcana? The ultimate TODR?
Basically, like, because like, and if you look at it, like, it falls under, if you go look at the memo, it falls under Kanna's, right? Right, specifically targeting
Yeah.
Kanna's. So does that mean everything else is okay?
That's probably overanalyzing a little bit. I mean,
No, because Matt farms on an Evan, so is he allowed to suicide?
right.
So like, is that? I mean, it's a legitimate question, right?
Yeah.
If this was really all about, we know that this is really all about bye Kannas,
Yeah, that's the whole purpose, right? Those were the
Yeah.
false bans. I don't think anyone was false bans in other areas. Well, some people were, but they were just like AFK or something. There's some weird shit with that.
I think that was the first part of the memo with like the other flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that part was specifically about Kanna bans, yeah.
Anything else?
Let's see. Oh, we forgot the most important thing about the memo, by the way. They're removing Alishan, dude.
Alishan and Twisted Aquarium. So okay, yeah, we can talk about that a little bit too. What I find really funny is that they're removing these two parts of like like content, obviously unused content and whatnot. But recently, Zong, remember when we did the Ancient Ruins PQ?
Yes.
That map is still there. Like
Yeah.
all the events are closed, everything, right? But like they won't remove past events like that, but they're gonna be removing Alishan and Twisted Aquarium for whatever reason.
Probably
My-
just if they ever want to bring those events back, they don't have to re-add them.
I still have a character in fuck, what is it again? The farm, Utah's farm. I still have a character that's just sitting
Yeah,
there.
I've a bunch of characters there as well.
I don't know, maybe it's significantly more space. I don't know. Yeah, I think like Zong says, maybe if it's a chapter that's like completely closed, they can just be like, be gone with it. I mean, every little bit helps, right? Because the code is like complete spaghetti. So anything they can take
yeah.
away from it is
Yeah,
probably...
I guess like removing content one by one might actually improve client stability.
Yeah, especially if it's stuff that isn't in KMS.
Yeah.
Less like wonky interactions and stuff like
But
that.
yeah, Alishan's being removed. That's a free teleport to Genesis,
Genesis.
but I really don't think that's that big of a deal because you can just friend story or mushroom shrine. So
Yeah, that's what everyone in my chat said, but it's not going to be the same, dude. I always used Alishan.
I've barely used Alishan, so
Because Friend Story is closer to the cab, right?
To the cab? Oh, I just used interdimensional mirror anyway. And then just like jump over to the top left. Oh, you mean, yeah, moving to the top left
Yeah,
is
like once
longer?
you leave the
Oh,
Friend
yeah.
Story building, it's like
You have to activate Friend Story first, right? Before you can use it?
it's like a 30-second thing.
That's 30. That's 30 seconds. How much money do we make an hour? That's
Oh my gosh.
another 20 mil, dude.
Alright.
Apparently, there's like a chair in the Twisted Aquarium.
Has anyone done any of that content? Alishan or Twisted Aquarium? I know Matt used to farm there.
I did Alishan, I believe when it first came out, because apparently, like on my Wild Hunter, I don't remember doing the content, but I got the
Somebody in the
medal.
chat was like, "You did it."
So yeah, I'm like
You got the medal
I
to prove it.
I don't recall doing it, but I do remember some train part in Alishan.
That's right. I think my mom did Alishan. Yeah, I think she cleared it on one of her characters.
At one time, and then the reward for completing the quest line is a level 33 pendant that looks like a Dominator pendant, and it's called Junkie Necklace.
Like one
terrible.
all stat or something.
Yes, exactly.
Wait, exactly
Yeah.
one all stat?
Yes, I think like maybe
Oh,
one
no.
attack. But...
Of course.
Are you guys like that as well when there's like new content in the patch notes and you like scroll down to see what the reward is first, and if it's garbage, you're like, okay, skip.
It's like
Yeah, I
it's
think
like a
that's
new
most
medal.
people.
It's like 3 attack, 15 all
attack,
stats.
15. I mean, that's almost like considerable.
Oh my bad, 3 all stats.
Yeah, like 3 all stats, 2 attack, and you're like, oh, dude, why?
Yeah.
But then they make the metal look really cool, so people buy the metal anvil.
But like, is there any? It's a little off topic. Was there any like reason to like even have like Holy Pink Beanity and stuff like that? Since we usually get a event title in every single update. No.
There's less and less use for it, I think. And especially the Monad title is very close to Holy Pink Beanity.
Yeah,
You
it's
can get
really
that at
good.
all
I have
times.
it. Yeah.
They're pretty close.
I mean, the event titles
Alright.
only come like once every
Sorry,
you know,
little
like
off topic,
50,
but
60%.
I don't think there's anything else to say about the situation unless you guys thought of
Yeah.
something new.
Well, there's nothing we hardcore disagree with, I guess, right?
I mean,
Really.
aside from comparing Maple to real life, yeah, nothing really to disagree about.
I don't get why that's so
So,
hard, but okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's because like people just don't think that way. It's like why bother thinking that way? Why
Yeah,
bring tax evasion into Maple? Like what's the point? You know?
Well, yeah, it's kind of the point. It's kind of like the point that you don't. I think a lot of when you're playing the game, a lot of it has to do with what your expectations are. And if your expectations are like, I know that what I'm doing is kind of is like 100% legit and it's all fine, but it is, you're like on the edge, then you should be prepared for something whenever something happens to have like a backup and be able to go. And to be like full stop, heels in the ground, like, like that's not really productive, not for yourself, not for people around you. So if you have a better expectation of how things go, and if you've played Maple for a long time, you know that this just happens all the time, right? You can
Yeah.
make the conscious decision to play the game in this way, and then this shit is going to happen to you, or you can stay clear of that if you don't want to. It feels kind of hypocritical to always try to find the best of the best and always go for it, and then get super like act like it's coming completely out of the blue or something when you know it's going to happen, because it keeps happening every single time. It just feels a little bit weird to me.
I think
I mean,
player
it's
population's
okay
gonna
to
grow.
have that stance, you know. I just think it's like, game's a game. You play for escapism.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's why a lot of people's streams are also like very different than mine. I feel like there's already like more than enough escapism, so I don't want to do too much escapism for my stream. But I totally get that other people want to do that. I mean, that's why you provide different services with your stream, right?
Okay, real talk though. How much is the player base gonna drop this time, if any?
No, I don't think any.
You think?
I honestly believe that people are just gonna continue to suicide.
Yeah.
I think
it's going to increase.
I think this changes
first, right?
nothing.
Because winter update, it's going to increase. There's going to be net increase.
I think there'll be
I wonder how it's going to be after winter.
a decent chunk
Unless
of the
we
early
start
game
seeing
player
like
base that
unless we
stop
start seeing
farming.
like massive bannings, I still think people are going to do it. I don't think anything's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
No, I disagree. I think there'll be new players that will be very off-put by this statement. That'll just stop.
Oh no! For new players, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still part of the player base.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about like already
Endgame.
like
Yeah, established people.
No, not even end game. Just people already
Oh.
playing the game. But like, yeah, for new players, definitely this seems extremely off-putting and highly unlikely that you'll be picking this game up.
Do you think
Unless you want to
still
go
get
reg
a lot of
server.
new players, or is it just
So-
people like coming back?
I think mostly it's people coming back. There are new players, but the majority is just people.
I mean,
like,
even
returning
people
for nostalgia.
that aren't set up with their arcane river farmer yet. Like, I think they'll be very off-put. Like, I know
Do you think
at least a couple people that
I'm sorry.
I'm close with that are like, oh well, can't farm anymore. I guess I'm not gonna play anymore. So it's already started.
Maybe we'll see an increase in people playing reg server.
I don't think so.
Matt is just
Doubtful.
silently hoping that people
Doubtful.
come
Oh,
to
I'm not hoping for I'm not hoping for that. I'm just saying that it might happen.
Maybe. Yeah,
if
but
people
imagine...
if people that hear this news, they get off put by thought of playing reboot, maybe they'll be more inclined to give reg server a
maybe.
try instead. Like if they're returning to the game, right?
Do you think it's gonna really deter more people, or do you think it's gonna now start speaking to different type of people?
What kind of
Because
people?
we
are you
were
thinking?
What do you mean by that?
what we were talking about in the stream is kind of we've seen a shift of more of a cooperative game over all the years ago to more of a self-focused game these
Right.
days, right? It's much more of a single player game these
Yeah,
days.
solo progression for the most part.
Yeah. And the reason that most of my ideas around this are very unpopular with the community right now is because I'm still kind of like everything that I'm doing is still from the lens of like trying to bring back more of the cooperative thing. But it's very difficult to be liked because the only people who are kind of left still playing the game are the people who are more into the solo progression. And therefore that becomes very unpopular because that goes against the other thing, right? So, but we used to, I think it's undeniable that we used to have the golden days. We had way more players than we do now, right? So the question is kind of, is this type of game just like over? Can we never go back to those days? Or can we, by slowly shifting the balance back, maybe start appealing to a different audience again, to a maybe slightly wider audience, and kind of see some kind of resurgence when we try to put more emphasis on doing stuff together rather than pure solo progression. We can still have both, but like by adjusting the balance a little bit. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's just
I'm
hard
not
to
sure what
have
you're
any
saying.
sort of party play when the game punishes you for partying up. Like you just lose out on Meso, you lose out on XP. If you do bosses with people, you have to split the boss crystal.
Drops.
Yeah.
The drops too, depending on
Mhm.
the boss.
Well, we could do a bunch of things, but I think, do you guys think it's worth exploring trying to do that? Or do you, because a lot of people are like, oh, then everyone's going to quit. And sure, the people who are like too focused around that are going to quit. But something we were talking about in my stream early before is like, well, with Ursus, for example, everyone goes in, everyone kills the bear, right? I try to
Yep.
organize an Ursus run every day to go with a bunch of people so that even if people lag, we just hit the bear one time. We wait until everyone loads, everyone hits, and then we kill the bear. That way, at least a few people every day can get money where otherwise they couldn't, because if you just go an 18-man, everyone just goes like balls to the wall and thing is dead, and like every run there's at least like 2 people who didn't do damage, right? Because they're lagging. Like, what if everyone gets more money if everyone reaches like a certain threshold of damage, for example? Like, there's like very small things that you can implement in all of the content that's already in the game to make it so that cooperation and working things out, and maybe bringing back PQs to some extent, and making PQ rewards maybe a little bit similar to Ursus, where you have a certain amount of
Well,
runs you can do per day to get some rewards, like just to bring cooperation slowly back to kind of start catering more again to that audience that has kind of, I feel like, left the game completely.
to me,
Then
it brings up a really good point. Like KMS reboot, they had party boss army meta before the crystals came out. And they just kind of single-handedly wiped that.
I
Yeah,
think
that kind of
I'm sure
died now, right?
cooperation
Because
is a
of
big
boss
one, but
crystals were introduced specifically to nerf KMS party bossing. Because people were going in as a full party of 6 with one person with Meso gear. Person with Meso gear kills the boss, and then everyone gets the benefit of the Meso gear. And then
But
KMS devs were like,
there's
no.
like other ways to nerf that, right? Rather than to just.
But
Well,
that's
that's
the
not
way they
one of the
chose
ways
to
they
do
had.
things.
They
Yeah, that's
chose-
how they did it.
That's such a
So-
bad choice, in my opinion. Ugh.
But and then also just goes back to like like what I'm hearing is like a lot of like something that you want to do, but ultimately we don't know how, or we like to speculate how GMS is ran, right? We mostly think it's obviously through Korea, they have the last say, whatever. It's like what would they think about the situation? They probably wouldn't care, to be quite honest. Like they wouldn't do this for their own version. So is anything likely to change for us? Probably not.
I
I
do
don't know. I
kind
feel
of
like there's
agree
a
with
lot
that.
of. I feel like a lot of people are kind of tired of like trying, and they're kind of just in a state of just like complaining and being not happy because don't feel like being listened to, and don't feel like anything is really going to change and improve. And we're kind of
Yeah,
like,
because
oh,
we,
wait
we
for the game
don't
to
we
die.
don't know
Very
how
depressing.
things work. If we did, I feel like might change a little.
Well, what do you mean specifically now? If we had like an official statement with the suiciding, you mean, right?
Well, no, I'm just talking about just like how things work for us, in GMS and for Nexon America in general. How like the
Oh,
whole
like who?
just the process goes, right?
Yeah, like who develops what and who has what kind of say, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like flow information.
yeah.
Because it goes back to like you saying like people are hardly trying nowadays because it feels like we're just talking to a wall.
When was the
Yeah.
last time they actually responded to our questions? Do you think?
Well, like I think Ghibli responds to me like 3 times a week or
No,
something.
I mean, not like I mean, like as a community. Like, when was the last time we had a major concern that they actually even responded to? Not fixed, just even like responded.
I mean, in the memo they responded to the lag during 2x, right?
Yeah.
That they got those reports and that they changed some things in the servers to optimize hopefully broaden the workload during events so that we don't get as much lag. I mean, we'll have to see. We have been getting barely any events, by the way. That's been a long time. Hot weeks have been like completely out the window, and 2x events have been super scarce.
Yeah, I can't remember when the
Well,
last one was before this.
they've been
most recent one.
bringing back 2x a little bit. No,
But it's still
It's
centered
just-
around the summer and winter events, right? Outside of that, it's almost never now.
It was like the
Yeah, I
Halloween
guess,
one, and
yeah.
then I can't remember when the one before.
Well, we
It's
had
like March or
Halloween.
something.
We
Months
had
before.
like I think we had one in the summer. We had one for anniversary.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, but
ages ago.
between summer and Halloween, that's quite a gap there.
Is it? I think it's one patch.
Well, I mean, depends on where in summer, I guess. If it's in June or something, it's like 5 months out.
I'm just
4
talking about
months
the
out
summer
already.
update just in general.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's like late August, then it's kind of close, I guess. If it's more like June, then you know.
But I mean, 2x events, I guess it contributed to the server instability, right?
Yeah.
That we're facing with. So that's why they chose to get rid of that, or just
Yeah, I think that's it, and just give us like more
less.
coupons instead.
no.
Is it true in KMS that coupons and 2x don't stack?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like a good idea for us to make like coupons and events instead of 2x, make them 3x, but don't make them stack anymore. Where it's like a little bit of a nerf, but not super much. Like turn 3x coupons into 4x coupons, turn 2x coupons into 3x coupons, and make events 3x, but don't make them stack anymore. That way people can kind of just choose when they have their own mini event for themselves, right? I don't know if it's
I
going to
know the
lead to the
logic.
servers crashing every single time. We got to do something.
That was the logic behind that. Like 2x's in general, but is it really effective? I'm not really sure.
I don't know if every single time there's going to be some problems with the servers, then I don't know. I mean, it's not as bad as like, was it about 2 years ago where every time 2x started, you literally just had to stop playing because nothing would move anymore, and this was when pet loot lag was on top of that shit. I think it was 2 years ago, right?
Wait, what? Sorry.
Whenever 2x would start, your game would just like start freezing basically, and nobody could even play. Your rates would get worse than on 1x basically. I would wait until 2x started and just log off.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
That was a bad time, but that was pet loot lag was still a thing then, right?
Yeah, it wasn't just frame lag. It was whole server lag. It was
Yeah.
a lot worse. I think
Remember?
it was mainly just the login servers during Halloween, because I was farming fine
Yeah, it was
without much
really
server
bad.
lag. But if you DC'd, you just wouldn't be able to log back on. So
I got super lucky. I tried to go back into my map and I couldn't, and then my game crashed. I clicked login and I was immediately back in on the map that I wanted to move to, so I got super lucky. You guys remember that one event when there was 2x and Cube Sale and DMT that all started at the same time?
Oh god.
Yeah.
yes,
Oh.
The
Yeah.
cash shop would not load. You wouldn't be able to buy a cube. You wouldn't be able to use the cube. You wouldn't be able to train. Oh my god, that was the worst. That was the worst day. Oh god. Yeah, some people in chat remember that one. Oof.
All right.
Okay. So wait. So do you guys think that's something that we could do? Like, well, first ask for clarification, right? Like Matt said, on what their official stance is
I think that's the
now.
first step. I think it's
Yeah,
definitely
that should be the first step. And then maybe, depending on what their answer is there, prepare some kind of statement from us and see if the community can support that, and then see if that can bring some kind of, because we are like Bean Brigade Omegalol, but like if that can do like any good, then I think it doesn't hurt to try, right?
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Because
I'm
like
sure
if like what I said before, like what about the alternative, like you just don't lose experience anymore when you die before level 200, for example. So that would mean that bye suicide farming would be gone, but you can still do it in Arcana or something.
Yeah.
Do you think that would solve some of the problems? Do you think that would be like a decent alternative, or?
But
Okay,
what would
let's just
players
say,
do
like, for the sake
early
of-
on then?
bosses and versus. But
Yeah.
Versus is a little bit harder even now, right? Because I think you have to do 1 billion damage to get your S rank.
No,
I'm not sure about that.
no, definitely not.
We've had people in our party who didn't reach like 1 billion damage, and they would get like an A rank or even a B rank sometimes, and not get full money.
That's weird. I typically do like 400 to 500, and I get S rank.
500 mil?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some kind of like some kind of transparency on how the scoring on Ursus works would be great too, or how your
Or if you
damage
get
even
hit by
works. I have
meteors
no
or-
idea, dude.
Based off your star force.
I think it's Star Force. Yeah, just the amount.
Yeah.
The more Star Force you have, the higher damage you do. I think it's
But,
also
like-
level as well.
Yeah, but if you look at your stats when you go in, like if you're a DA, your damage halves, and if you're anything else, your damage like doubles. I'm not sure. Your boss damage all like goes away, but not completely. Your IED goes away, but you don't need IED, I don't think. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Nox bro did research for 50 years. Oh shit. I'll get right on that, pizza. Thanks.
Yeah, I actually have another guy from KMS Reboot for like 2 or 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had some very good conversations about that.
Oh, okay. About like the difference in meta and how the balance is over there and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You feel like they're in a better place than we are over here in GMS?
Now? Oh yeah.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Yeah. Before I would just like, it's like
It depends if people decide to continue farming bye-bye or not.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the population.
Well, I agree with Matt. I think people are just going to continue doing it, and it depends on how long it'll take for. Like, if they get banned immediately the day after, they're going to be like mad, and they're going to be looking around to wait for someone else to find something better and then copy that. But if they can go weeks and weeks without, then they'll just keep doing it. I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
By the way, what if we ask them for clarification and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
Arcana Suicide is still not good? What kind of unified statement can we even make, first of all?
Well, to see if
We'd be like, oh hell nah.
to be well to like provide an alternative. Like one alternative could be monsters in bye-bye station don't drop multiple bags anymore, for example. Then people can still do it, but it's only a temporary solution rather than a permanent solution. Or
For like 30 minutes.
Hmm?
I mean, you level up in like 30 minutes, right?
yeah.
Wait, are you
Well,
saying
I don't know,
allow
I've never done.
allow suiciding in bye-bye again? Scardor?
Something to kind of make the implement something that goes in the same direction, but that blocks it in a more indirect way. Well, one thing that I feel like we definitely have to make in a statement is that since they never said that this was a rule before, they can't like retro ban people for it. Like that is like not okay. I feel like we all stand behind that already, right? That
Yeah,
would be
that's
something
like
that would be
low-hanging
there
fruit right there.
100%.
Like,
I
what
think.
else?
Well, like I said, like what if we do something where you're like you don't lose experience anymore when you die before level 200? What if they did that instead? It would kind of have the same effect, but it wouldn't be in a way where it's like, oh, well, you know, you can maybe still do it, but you might maybe get banned, so probably not do it. And also support is maybe going to respond to you quicker now. Because it sounds a little like, well, we changed the auto ban system, but we couldn't really filter out you guys doing that, so you probably shouldn't do that anymore. If they do it this way, then they just get rid of the problem as well, but they don't kind of expose that why.
It
I
doesn't
don't know.
solve
It seems
the-
like a
it
better
doesn't solve
PR
the
move.
problems for early game players, though.
Yeah, early game players are
Unless
fucked
it leads to
regardless.
something.
Early
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
has never had it easier right now than ever before. So I don't know. I feel
What do you mean?
like everything up to like even like Vanishing Journey dailies, like the pre-quest and Vanishing Journey are like 10 times easier than they were for anyone else. All of the content now, the access to fifth job, like I don't know, like early game has never been easier than it is right now.
I can't agree with that.
What
Like,
part of
your-
early game has been harder? Is
I
harder
mean, your
now?
dailies are easier, sure, but
But like
what about your
everything is
gear?
easier. You level faster.
What about your gear?
What about your gear?
Like, how much rates could you be making that you can actually make your gear?
Ah, okay. Well,
You're talking
we just
about, like,
play the game
income?
very differently. I haven't
Yeah,
known
like
about
Meso
what
income,
rates
right?
are at all
Normal Ice is
ever.
gone.
Like Meso income?
MP3 is gone. We're gonna go back to pot farming. Like,
I guess I just play the game very differently. I play it much more slowly and much more. I try to play it like with other people instead of completely alone. So I don't even know my rates really anywhere or what they really were. Like I knew them in LP1 because I was there for a long time. I know them right now because I'll be where I am right now for a long ass time. So you just see them, but that's like never my focus. But I guess different people play the game different way and have different focus.
So when you say you play with other people, what do you mean? Like how do you generate income with other people?
I mean, I try to organize Ursus daily. That's like
They're just assets.
that's
like
fun
100
for me.
mil.
People can join in. During the height, we were actually doing like 2 runs a day. That was pretty hectic to organize, but we did it. I mean,
The
you
other
can
thing
take
about Ursus is like, if you're in NA, that's right smack during the day.
Yeah, it's not a
If you're in the
great
Pacific
time,
Coast, it's 3 p.m. What, 2 p.m.?
but it's a 10-hour slot now, right? Or 12?
12,
10?
12
like that, yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like an invisible time slot as well, so it's like and people have
Wait,
to
so did
snag
you-
all the time. By
Did
the
you
way,
do
it's 2x right
anything?
now.
Did you do anything other than Ursus or just Ursus daily?
What I try to do is to have characters prepped to do either like struggle runs or duo trio runs. So what I have right now is I have a marksman that can technically sometimes solo like Lotus and Damien, but it's not solid. So typically I find someone in the community every week to just duo that with. If there's like 3 or 4 people, we can probably take on Lotus and Damien as well on my hero. I basically just try to prep characters to be in a range where I can party boss. And once my character gets to the point where I can solo boss, I solo it instead, sell my crystals and get my money that way.
Oh, you've got
And then I
kidding.
start prepping a new character to try to be available.
All right.
Is that the fire alarm?
Peace out. Yeah, fire alarm.
Oh,
Right.
shit.
Burn their
Have fun
power.
evacuating.
Stay
Dude.
safe.
No, my guess is someone's building a nuclear reactor on the second floor.
Wait, it's over. Is it over?
No, it's not over. All right.
All right.
You guys have
Kanna, thanks
fun.
for joining
Enjoy
us.
the game, players. Good luck. And,
All right, camera's gonna move.
bye.
Later.
Yeah, no, but
I'll
it
watch
is
the
it is
VOD later.
tricky to do things together with people. That's definitely true. Oh god, am I big now? Okay. But yeah, it is tricky. That's why I'm trying to advocate for more stuff, like more content like Ursus, like more raid bosses. I think would be cool. And maybe a way. Oh yeah, and sometimes if I need to do dailies like Vanishing Journey or Choo Choo, I try to like at least take 1 or 2 people together and do it because it's just faster for everyone. It's not like really a carry or anything. You're just speeding it up for everyone involved. But if there were more raid bosses and maybe, like I said, a way of like making money off of PQs, for example, with like a set daily limit, kind of like Ursus runs, to just kind of bring back in a more organic way that people just start doing more stuff together. I think that part of the community needs to be nurtured a little bit more and less the competitive stuff that has been basically winning and being mainly catered to for the last 4 years.
It's like I do agree. Like I would like to see more things like Ursus. I agree with you on that. But it's kind of like if Ursus, like as it is right now, Ursus is the only thing that early game players can do, other than like early game bosses for Mesos, until you get strong enough to do stuff like CRA and hard mag. Yeah, there's just not very many options until you get up to that point. And even when you do, when you're doing like bosses, like mid tier bosses like CRA and hard mag, you're only making maybe like 400 mil a week, as opposed to buy station farming, which is 550 an hour, which doesn't have a weekly limit or a daily limit. So,
Now, what about as a temporary solution, all the PQs in the PQ area would give equivalent Meso to like Ursus per run.
Well, you'd have to put a cap on it, right?
Well,
Yeah,
there's a
cap.
cap, I think, on PQing.
Yeah,
it's
5
like
a
5
day.
or 10 a day,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah, okay.
like per character. So you would literally have people PQing all day long.
Yeah. Well, so what I would like to see is if that would be equivalent to like farming, right? Because it's very
That's very
like
hard
you
to
guys said,
balance.
yeah, it is hard to balance, but I feel like there has to be some kind of filter for balance for GMS and specifically for reboot and non-reboot. Like at least like one person at Nexon America who like tries to just adjust the numbers just to kind of keep making things balanced. Because if we just get trickle down numbers with some vague multipliers from KMS non-reboot into GMS reboot, we're never going to get any kind of balance in our game here. It's just not going to happen.
So I was saying like just like a temporary, until they find something more permanent, or they can like, just see how it goes. Temporary solution where we can make Meso and maybe have fun doing it.
Something I would like to see, which is probably more unlikely, but making more maps nicer to train in, like just map design in general.
Yeah, Morass has to be like completely redone.
Yeah. For example, yes,
Those
definitely.
Maps are literally ass. That's why it's more.
There's maybe like one good map, and I say good
like
liberally.
Red Shadows. Okay.
Yeah, it's like majority of the maps in Morass are just complete garbage. So, just the map overhaul
like someone in chat
would be
said
nice.
They did do it for Lechaline.
Yeah. Yeah, like Latch. So they have done it before, so maybe it's not as unlikely as I thought.
Morass are so big.
A Morass a revamp of Morass would be nice. Maybe even some maps in like Esfera, like the starting area.
Party training became better, and you could just like share maps in Morass or something, right?
Bit iffy on that one, but maybe.
Like if it's a little bit worse.
Well,
like it can even be a little bit worse. I don't care. But if it just like gets people to do things together, like give people options that are not.
But the reason they won't do that, and the reason they've been going more towards solo progression is the same reason why they removed Lionheart Castle in the first place, because hackers and botters take advantage of it, and because of that, we have to suffer as legit players.
Not necessarily. Not in that specific case. I think the problem with LHC was people were just leeching to max level. They were just hanging on a rope, and they would just get to max level, and that's why they never party play.
The massive hacking and botting there didn't.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of hacking there, but I don't think that was the main reason they ended up nerfing that area.
Right, I got an idea for making money in the game in general. Okay, are you guys ready?
Go for it.
All right. So you know how we have burning in maps where you can get more experience, right? If people don't play there for a long time.
Yes.
How about you get gold buffs in maps as well, where you get more Meso obtain?
That would be nice.
Nobody has gone in the map for a long time, so we can diversify the map pool for everyone, basically.
No, the problem with that, all the hackers take up all the burning maps.
But, well, yeah. This is like This is like oversimplified, but you can get rid of hackers in Maple like super easy. Just stop fucking buying their shit. Okay. They will disappear like very, very quickly. The only people you will have is just script kiddies who are trying to get their rocks off.
No, but
even the main hacking problems are gone if you just stop buying their mesos off their website and stop buying pre-farmed accounts.
Wait, we're talking about reboot. Oh, pre.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
That one is specific for reboot. Yeah.
No. I think people are still gonna. They're still not gonna be. You'll
still get people who are just trying to speed up their progression, but it's gonna be nowhere near the level of problem right now. But sure, I'm not saying it's going to fix all the problems, but I think for a lot of people, even like, just a map that's bad, but suddenly you get like, I don't know what it will go up to. I don't know the numbers. Let's say you can get plus like 30% Meso obtain if it's like plus 3% per level or something up to level 10. I don't know, I'm just throwing a number out there. Maybe that makes a slightly shittier map actually better than another one that is more popular, and therefore you can just go, you have like 20 more maps now that you can do, I don't know. I just as an idea, like I think something like that would could definitely open up. I'm all about like just giving people options that aren't objectively way better or objectively way worse, but are like ballpark similar. But like I said, that's very difficult to balance, and I know you guys agree because of like hand-me-down rules we get from KMS. There needs to be someone in between who like filters filters those numbers and keeps track of what is the progression we want for the game. But like Matt said, like more transparent in we're changing this because the progression right now is too fast, or we're switching this because we think the emphasis is too much on this one end and we want to make sure that this content gets played too, or more of the reasoning behind it.
All right, so touching back on something we talked about earlier, we talked about like progression scaling of how right now like early game is this rate, and then there's incentive to get to Arcana, but there's not really much incentive past the Arcana because it doesn't really get much better because Arcana is the best, and then it just drops off after that. So
because people mostly focus on like the weapon, cape, shoes, and
yep. So
gloves.
We touched on droplets earlier in Tenebris. That would be one of the solutions. I think it would be nice if they just dropped Esfera droplets, because Esfera right now is the only place you can get those types of droplets, whereas there's Lachlan, Moras, and Arcana that drop the same droplets. So I think it would be nice to have more areas that dropped that specific type of droplet.
Or like revamp Morass and then make Esfera droplets drop there or something.
Yeah, I think like that alone would already be like enough to motivate people to stop suiciding if that's what their goal is. But if they really wanted to like ramp up like endgame farming, they wanted people to be farming at Limina, like the highest level place, then maybe like scale up the Meso formula to benefit high level mobs.
Yeah.
And just make it worthwhile. That's it. It's literally it. Just make it worthwhile.
Incentivize it, and then people do it.
The problem is, to some extent, it's already worth your while. Like if you're trying to level to 275, it's kind of already worth to go there because the experience is significantly better, especially because you can get level 10 burn like all the time, right? Even in reboot. But the problem is that it's very, very difficult for people to see the value if it's not like expressed in a meso number. People
or
like
drops.
to reduce,
or
because even the drops. A lot of people are like, I'm going to
because
stay
EXP is not the only thing that people care about. When they're farming.
True, but I know some people are like, I'll just stay at bye. You see more people moving into like a Kanna farmer now, but there's still a lot of people who are just, I'm just going to stay at bye forever. Well, not anymore after like the memo, but even though they make almost double, or well, not double, but like 30, 40, 50% more in Arcana, and you get all the nodes and the droplets and like chance of symbols, but that's not super important, which are so much more valuable. But still, people don't see those numbers like expressed in Meso, and therefore they're just comparing like 700 to 900, and it's like, well, it's not enough more for me to make that investment. But if there was some way to kind of, like let's say you let people NPC node stones for 25 mil and droplets for 200 mil or something,
right?
If you just have that value in your head, everyone is immediately going to be like, well, shit, like I need to be there and I need to make more drop rate because that's like way better.
Yeah.
True.
And people won't maybe even necessarily NPC the node stones, and they will probably not NPC the droplets. But because that number is there, suddenly that'll like create the awareness that people are like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, I don't think people would NPC droplets, but definitely node stones.
After a certain point, yeah.
I could see it.
After a certain point, definitely.
At this point, if you want to fund a new character,
depends.
it's like 4,000 nodes, right?
Depends like how much they would value, right? So Scardor's saying put like a monetary value, like an NPC value on node stones and droplets. So it gives 25 people.
Is just like, or 200 is just like numbers off the top of my head.
I can't see them making it any higher than like 1 mil, the 10 mil. Because I don't know, like I'm just thinking of like the current NPC prices. Like a primal essence is worth like 10 mil, right?
10 mil.
Yeah.
Another thing I just thought about, another way to like incentivize more doing bosses and giving early players more value is allow them to NPC occult cubes for a value.
True. Yeah.
Because those, I got like
get a lot of
30,000 of those, and I just like throwing them away, NPCing them for 1 meso each. Like, what is that? Like,
that's true. That's true.
Incentivize that stuff, right? Okay, one other idea that I had, way better than the gold boost, okay? Because you guys were not warming up to that. I got a way better idea.
NPCing symbols too, if we're on that, like, back to that topic.
For sure. Yeah, just to give the option so that people feel the value. Okay, another idea I had. I think it's a great idea, but it's my idea, so I might be a little bit biased here. Okay, what do you think for reboot about a auction house, but only for coins in the game, coin for coin exchange?
Huh? What kind of coins are you talking about?
Any coins, like you could trade dineros for Galax coins, you could trade Sengoku coins for whatever the fuck. Any coin for coin, exchange rate based on supply and demand.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Well, you can think about it for a little bit. I think it would be hilarious because you wouldn't have direct trade, but you would have access to a whole different way of kind of playing the game. And you could put droplets in there, for example. Like you can trade 1,000 dineros for a droplet, maybe. You can trade like hundreds of Galax coins for a droplet. If you're lucky and somebody puts up a very, very cheap one, you could like snipe a droplet quickly. If somebody desperately is upgrading on a new character and you want to brute force your way to getting 22-star equips, but you have a few droplets that you farmed, you can, or you have a bunch of Galax coins, you can exchange those for droplets and exchange the droplets back for a bunch of dineros and make extra gear during an event. I don't know. I feel like that it would open up a bunch of options where it would also incentivize people to do more dailies that are also, things together like CPQ and stuff again. And keep that to build up those coins and to trade them later. I don't know, just
All right,
just
so
an
you
idea.
so you're saying the player puts up an item and then asks for another specific item.
Yeah,
So it's not like a
the
one-to-one conversion for different currencies, is what you're saying.
yeah, you could, for example,
So you put up one
you could do it
droplet
in
and you
different
ask for
ways.
like 500 denaros or something.
Yeah, for
And
example.
then
yeah, you
if
could do
someone
that
who
in
has
some
spare denaros is like, oh, okay, I'll give you my denaros for that one droplet.
Yeah, and then it just switches and then you redeem it like you would in the auction
an
house,
interesting
for
idea.
example.
I think
Yeah, because it's not direct player to player. You could also do it within your own account, right? You set up trades for your account and do it that way. So you have like kind of like transfer, but not really.
it's
I
an
don't know.
interesting
I think it
idea.
could-
I
yeah,
think
I think it
sorry,
could work
I-
if implemented properly. But
like
I
any
just love that comeback, dude.
what?
I'm
Hmm?
just. That was a lot. It was probably a lot more funnier to me than it's supposed to be. It's like songs like I don't know about that. He's on Scardo's like
No,
just
no.
think about it a little.
Just let it sink
Alright.
in, Like, well, no, but
Um,
there's like a million ways it could probably go wrong, right? But I think
Yeah.
there's also ways that it could go right. And
I feel like it
there's a
would
lot
need
of
to
people-
be heavily moderated, which I don't
Yes.
think they would want. Well, I don't think they have the manpower for one, and yeah, an
to prevent, like,
unmoderated
overuse,
market.
yeah.
Just yeah, see how the
Historically,
reg server economy has
historically,
gone. Yeah,
MTS was apparently not very good.
yeah. So interesting idea, but I don't think it would work in practice, unfortunately.
Don't worry, I got many more amazing ideas like that one.
Yeah.
I like it, but only by like being able to do it within your own account, and not like from other people.
But that's basically like opening up trade then, right? Because you just do like 1,000 for one, a 1 for 1,000 the other way around.
Well, Nexon would decide the conversion rates.
Sure.
If they were to do that, and then be like, I have all these excess, coins of a particular thing. It would it would incentivize like maybe doing even more dailies, right? For example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like the what the administrators sometimes has with the coin exchange from past events.
Right. Exactly. You would do that with like
you could reduce it to that. Yeah. Sure.
With like current currency that's actually valuable, like dinaro and like coins for.
Yeah, if you want to brute force
gear.
your way to 22-star, then you could do CPQ and solo voyages on like 5 different characters, feed them all to one character, speed up your progression that way.
Yeah. So that incentivizes like playing the game longer, doing more dailies, which they clearly want you to do, right? They clearly like so. Different way to grind.
For sure. Yeah, just anything that can like open up the meta a little bit and that can create space. But of course, like it has to be hardcore monitored for abuse because, you know, with the spaghetti code that we're working in, everything
Yeah.
is attackable.
Not everybody wants to do dailies, but they want you to do dailies. That's the most important part about, like, you know, when it
Exactly.
comes to Nexon implementing stuff into the
Mhm.
game.
Imagine you're just training and you get a droplet and you're never going to get a weapon. You already know that, but you're able to trade that droplet for so many coins that you can just skip your dailies for 2 months. Like that would be very cool for that one person, and it would be a win-win for the other person, right? That's kind of like the idea behind it, right?
The idea, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to do that, but the idea, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, like most good ideas, I think it's just ruined by the amount of hackers and botters.
Okay.
They
Sure.
just
Another-
ruin the economy,
yeah.
devalue
Another dumb
the
idea.
value of everything that's farmable.
I had another dumb idea, but I think you guys will be more for it because you guys are more towards like arcane progression and stuff. Like, what if they would allow you to keep like if you kept doing your dailies in the areas where you can still get symbols, but you can just trade in symbols at a certain ratio for droplets. So if you kept doing your symbols after you're already maxed, you can basically guarantee a few droplets a day per
Like droplet
character
dailies.
just by redoing your daily.
Yeah,
I think most people would be for that. Yeah.
of course, yeah.
You'd basically be able to get like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 droplets a day in like 2 hours guaranteed, but then you'd still have to farm for everything else. It'd just speed up the progress towards
And if you did it on multiple characters, it would even speed up.
Yeah.
More,
and you could
'cause,
spend
like,
the whole
droplets.
you could spend the whole day like hardcore farming droplets, but then you really wouldn't have any time to do anything else, right? But then you'd be specifically choosing to do that, right?
And this would be in the form of dailies, which again, Nexon wants you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And this
So
would
it's
also
kind of a win-win. Yeah.
and it would also, like, you know, incentivize you to, well, people don't like it, but being able to, you know, play more than one character, right?
Well,
Benefiting off
and
of that.
when they're doing when they're basically giving every area like a PQ together and like killing and farming items together, it's like another thing that you can do together with people. Like
Yeah, you could do your dailies together. If enough people like buy into it and start doing it,
Exactly.
yeah, you just start doing dailies together. You know, Choo Choo, Earth Spectrum, whatever the new
Yeah.
shit.
Or you'd
Yeah.
have like a set daily channel, like, you know, if you're gonna do your dailies, you go to channel and 12 constantly forming up parties and stuff like that. As long as it gets going and there's enough people to keep it going, then it works. But there's a lot of content in the game where something else gets a little bit better. Like I never did it, but like Romeo and Juliet PQ at a certain time was like the best leveling at a certain area, right?
Yes, one of the,
Yeah.
one of the
70 to
maps.
90 or something. I'm not sure.
It was like 70 to 1 something, 110.
Are you talking about like not clearing
Oh,
the
that's pretty
PQ and
good.
just grinding that one map?
Yeah,
Yeah,
grinding at the
yeah,
end or
right.
something.
Yes.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
did it, but yeah, I heard it was pretty good with a party and like together. Like,
Yeah, it was
what
great.
if oh shit, I completely forgot what I was going. Oh yeah, but what happens is other stuff comes out that's just like objectively better, and then people start not doing the PQ anymore, and then after a while it becomes like a ripple effect where you don't have enough people to make a party anymore, so nobody goes there anymore to even look for a party, and then the content just completely dies, just because it's, you know, because the meta is so heavily dictated. But I think it's more of a, not so much a problem of like meta and people just do what they want the best, even though that's true. I think it's more a case of we just don't have enough a community and a big enough group of people that wouldn't mind you know, doing also the next best thing, because everything's
Mhm.
kind of within reach because there's not that many people to compete with anyway,
I
right?
mean, a lot of people are asking and have been asking for droplet dailies, so I think that's a good idea.
Well, another big meme is
Include
just
something like that.
making the coins for, well, either reducing the cost in coins for the items or making the exchange ratio for the coins lower, right? Like they did for Absolab after a while.
Mm. But I think symbol to droplet conversion is like the most logical to do.
Yeah, you keep people doing dailies, which is what you want, and you give some guaranteed droplets, but you still have to farm for the rest, and people will play multiple characters and level them up. I think that's a win-win for everyone, honestly. The conversion would be like, I don't know, would be a question, especially since we're getting more and more symbols a day. Like the conversion would probably have to be something like 20 to 1 or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would just be whatever they wanted. Just the idea of something like that,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Yeah. and
I think
you-
most people would
and you-
agree that would be a positive change for the
Mhm.
game.
What was the
Yeah.
exchange rate for Absolab back in the day when that came out? Because it was crazy
It
compared
was
to now, right?
it was 50 acres for 1 coin.
And were the items also more
Yes.
coins than now?
They were like 8 each for a weapon.
So you went from 8 to 4 and from 50 to 20,
Yeah,
right?
you needed like
So we went
400
from
acres.
400 to 80. So 1/5 now.
Wait, how much is a weapon now? 5? 5 times.
Yeah,
what was it,
5.
5?
So you need a
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it's a quarter now.
A quarter, yeah, 400 to 100, yeah.
You need
Yeah, that's
100
crazy,
acres.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
so-
it just goes to show, like, because like this was before, like, 25 star was introduced here, right? It was
Mhm.
kind of just like irrelevant, Absolab wasn't any good really to go for.
No, but now because of Star Force, it's like
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's there's a difference, yeah.
I'll say they.
But
I
I'm
think
saying
they,
like didn't the Absolab nerf like just it was prompted by the fact that like people weren't really buying into this set of equipment, that we don't really care about it. They didn't use it.
they
I don't know
were.
when it was
I think they
exactly.
reduced the cost after they started introducing more powerful gear. Like after it wasn't like worth, like it wasn't the best anymore. Then they started reducing the price.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm
Right,
hoping
yeah.
that right now we're gonna see
So we might see that with Arcane gear if we ever
Yeah,
get
exactly.
a new end game,
I think we'll get introduction this winter in KMS, and then this summer I think we'll see the first new gear in the new area. And then I think we will start seeing somewhat of a
Maybe.
race to Arcane, and Arcane will.
I think I see it like in the next like year or two, potentially.
Wait, have I told you guys my theory already about the new gear that's coming? Chat
No, I
is
don't
gonna
think
be
so.
mad. You guys are gonna be mad. Everyone's gonna be mad. Okay.
Go for it.
But okay, what is the thing that we see in Grandis? What gear do we see in Grandis?
Top and bottom.
No, like what gear do we already have in Grandis? What type of
Oh.
gear?
Grandis. Do we have anything?
Tyrant superior. Oh no,
Tyrant.
no.
Oh, more tyrants.
Superior gear, baby.
No.
We're gonna see the next level of tyrants, superior gear, tops and bottoms, but they all start booming at
At 5 stars?
They all start booming at 5-star plus. They're very difficult to get.
No, we don't. I do not want that again. Oh
This
hell
time,
no.
Tyrant
You
is
have to kill-
superior is back, but this time they're accessories.
You have to
Jesus
kill
Christ. So you
Darmua.
tell me Guardian no booming is gonna be back.
Okay, this is what's
in-
coming
in
back.
reg
Okay, we're
server.
gonna see Varus Magnus, but the whole map is anti-gravity, and the balls come from all directions. And he drops different coins.
More Toho.
This is
awesome.
He drops different coins, and with those coins you can buy
That's what we need.
the superior earring that starts
Honestly, with Nexon and how they make hitboxes in this game, I don't know if that's a great idea. Because
it's a horrible idea, but that's the whole point.
you'd be complaining about like, no, that didn't hit me.
And it wouldn't have, but according to the game somehow, and HitScan it kind of did.
Yeah.
No, but it's kind of memey, but all of the type of gear, like what is it? Nova, Elite Elysium, and Tyrant, right? Is all superior
well,
gear.
you guys heard it here first. Beam Brigade leaks. Start stocking up on AEs and reg server.
Oh yeah,
That shit
you guys have
No booms.
It's gonna skyrocket, bro. No booms. It's gonna start skyrocket.
Is that Can you buy that with reward points? Like
No.
every month?
Nah.
Those are from.
It's
It's
only
like
an item
Marvel
in-game?
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh shit! So it's like super
Marvel,
limited
Philo
supply, right?
books. Yeah.
Oh damn! How much is one?
Right now, I think it's like less than a bill because they're useless. Like people do it for
Oh,
their tyrant belts, but that's
guys,
about it.
Start stocking
so
up hardcore right now. How much can you lose on that? It's only a bill each. Demand is gonna go
Yeah.
up after this stream, I bet. Stop talking. You're giving them ideas. Okay, if you think that everything that's coming is not already developed
450
or in
mil,
like
okay.
the last stages right now, you're a little
it's
bit
half.
behind.
It's half that.
Varus Magnus is already designed right now. They're already fucking up his mechanics right now. It's gonna be Chaos Papalatus 3.0. Watch. Everything's gonna one-shot you. Yeah, no, I kind of fear that in one end. On like a lot of people have very bad memories about superior gear But the only bad thing about superior gear was how difficult it was to get new gear. When it came to how many you boomed and how expensive it was, it's
well,
no
yeah,
worse.
just like
It's
the
actually
like
better than
how
going
much
for
time
22
it took.
right?
No, how much time it took to get the
Yeah,
gear.
yeah. It was a time game.
Yeah, you're
right?
just gated by
Yeah.
Magnus coins.
The only thing you could do is it was creatures for extra Magnus entries. The only thing you could do to kind of speed it up.
Yeah.
Which I like. I don't like that, but I like the fact that content like that is interconnected, right? Because that way, just because something new comes out, that doesn't mean that the old thing is now completely cast aside and becomes dead content. Because then we have more spaghetti code just lying there. Instead of just building on the strengths that areas already have and just connecting them, I think in general, then I would like to see that more. Yeah, because who goes to creatures now?
Who says creatures?
Who pronounces like that? but yeah, I get your point. I get your point.
I say
How do you
Critias.
Critias.
Alright.
Variety? Oh, fucking American,
Critias.
dude. Even the Australian is on that side. Goddamn.
Anyway, I think that's.
You guys probably
what
say
time is it?
leafry too.
Yes, I do actually.
Yeah,
it's town of
Not
leaves.
saying leafer in 2019. Come on.
Yeah, leafy, dude.
I think that's all the time we have for today, though. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you to everyone in the stream for watching. I'll thank Nox later. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
I'm waving.
That's it.
Can't see it.
That's it. Matt's waving. All right.
Goodbye.